Uttarakhand government led by Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami has taken a historic step today by introducing a uniform civil code in the state and tabling a bill on the floor of the Vidhan Sabha. The uniform civil code was a big pre-poll promise for the BJP government. It has now come to pass. Well, let's quickly take a look at some clauses in the bill now and how they affect people of the state. Let's quickly take you through some provisions of this bill and what really the main tenets, of course, are in this bill, which today has been tabled in the Uttarakhand Assembly. Well, the bill on the issue of nikah halala says in section 30, in fact, clause 2 of the bill, the right to remarry under subsection includes the right to remarry the divorced spouse without any condition, such as marrying a third person before such a remarriage. So obviously this is what the bill says in relation to nikah halala. Also going on to say in section 32 clause 3, any person who compels, abets or induces a person to observe any condition as is referred to in subsection 2 of section 30 before remarriage shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term of up to 3 years and shall also be liable to a fine of 1 lakh rupees. So thereby, of course, criminalizing nikah halala. As far as divorce is concerned, well, section 25 clause 1 states that any marriage solemnized or contracted whether before or after the commencement of this code may on a petition presented to the court by the party to the marriage be dissolved by decree of a divorce. So these are, of course, the contents in this bill with regards to divorce. Now, if we talk about marriage age for girls, well, in section 4 part 3, it's very clear that the man has to complete the age of 21 and the woman the age of 18. So uniform age for marriage for all religions. Inheritance rights. Well, in section 60, it is written, no person shall be disqualified from succeeding to any estate on the ground of any disease, defect or deformity or save as provided in this code or any other ground whatsoever. So those, of course, are the the succession rights and the inheritance rights explained there. Meanwhile, marriage registration also, of course, in section 20 says that no marriage shall be deemed to be invalid solely by reason of the fact that it was not registered under this part, or that the memorandum was not delivered to the sub-registrar, or that the certificate of marriage was not issued by the sub-registrar either. So a bit more liberal on marriage registration there. As far as live-in relationships are concerned, where live-in registration also is spoken about in the bill in section 378 clause 1, where it says it shall be obligatory for partners to a live-in relationship within the state, whether they are residents of Uttarakhand or not, to submit a statement of live-in relationship under subsection 1 of section 381 to the registrar within whose jurisdiction they are so living. These are, of course, the important clauses. If we stay with the issue of live-in registration, well, section 387 part 1 says, whoever stays in a live-in relationship for more than 1 month from the date of entering into such relationship without submitting the statement of such relationship shall be punished on conviction by a judicial magistrate with imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 months or with a fine not exceeding 10,000 rupees or both. So these, of course, are some of the important provisions in this bill today that, of course, has been tabled by the Chief Minister in the Uttarakhand Assembly. Let's quickly open this up to our guests for their comments as well. Gaurav Kochar, advocate, is joining us live. We also have Advocate K.C. Kaushik, former Solicitor General of India, joining us live. Also with us is Nikhil Jain, political analyst. Professor Madhav Nalapat, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, also joins us live. Professor Nalapat, certainly a big moment for Uttarakhand with the UCC bill being formally tabled in the Assembly. How do you view this big development?
Well, I'd like to welcome it in the first place. And may I point out today, it's not a Hindu-Muslim issue. For example, Mary Roy, back in the 1980s, she fought for equal inheritance rights for Christian women, which in some parts of the country were just not there. Mary Roy fought against that discrimination and she won the case. Now, where certain Hindu sects are concerned, there is discrimination against women where inheritance is concerned, and this also, would be affected in the sense it would be removed if there were a uniform civil code. So this is something that's very, very welcome. Now, in the case of, for example, Mary Roy, the discrimination against women was sought to be justified on the ground of dowry. Now, dowry is illegal. You cannot justify a practice on the ground of an illegal practice. So the point is, therefore, that I'm very happy that a uniform civil code has been enacted, except that in my view, I think there is too much of a tendency in the Indian penal system to go to jail rather than have other curative kind of methods. And I would say, for example, community labor for 3 years, free community labor, or such ways of punishment ought to be the preferred norm rather than simply sending someone to jail. I think jail is something that should be a last resort. Community service, other forms of service, including service, for example, to the family that's been wronged, or compensation to the family that's been wronged. Such punishments, in my view, would be better. But overall, the Uniform Civil Code is essential in a secular society. And it is a definition of secularism that everybody is treated equally under the law. And this law ensures that where very, very important civil rights are concerned.
Yes, let me also, in fact, take that to Gaurav Kochar. Gaurav Kochar, is this something you expect, will now be perhaps a test case, a test bill for expansion across other parts of the country as well? What do you believe stands out in this bill, Gaurav? And do you believe it's something that is just going to be, applicable in Uttarakhand, or do you believe it can now be a test bill, it can be a draft bill for other parts of the country as well?
As you rightly said, I totally welcome the step which the Uttarakhand government has taken by tabling the bill before the Legislative Assembly. And this bill certainly will prevail throughout the country. And like Professor Madhav already explained, that the disparity amongst the women, the disparity amongst the religions has to be cut down. And we are living in a secular country which is called India, and we should have a single law for each and everyone. And by passing of this bill throughout the country, like we have started through the government of Uttarakhand, it will certainly go further and further, where we shall be having other state governments also adapting the same. Yes, the tests are there with regard to the bill, because the enactment of the new laws, new things will turn up something which the people won't be expecting. But this is a welcome step, and this will eradicate the disparity in terms of marriage law, in terms of inheritance, which are the basic consent, which are the basic content which you also start up with. That while we are falling under a Hindu Succession Act, it's a different law, and when we are speaking about Muslim law, it's a different concept. Marriages in Muslim law have different provisions and different ways of maintenance and everything, and marriages in under the Hindu law have different measures to be dealt with. So it will be big step eradicating disparity, and it will prevail in coming days.
All right, let me in fact also quickly bring in KC Kaushik for his perspective as well on this story. KC Kaushik, what stands out for you in the bill? Obviously, this has been something which has been pending for quite a while. There was a commission which was set up to draft this bill, and now finally it has been tabled today. KC Kaushik, can you hear me? Okay, I think we're having some trouble there with his connection. Let me bring in Nikhil Jain, if he can hear me. Nikhil Jain, it's a big, poll issue that, of course, the BJP had taken to the people before the Uttarakhand Assembly elections. They got the mandate, and now they've decided to table the bill, decided to bring it into reality for the state. What do you believe will be the political impact of this, and how are you reacting to the tenets of the bill that have now become public?
So that's the point today. Whenever a bill is brought out on an issue, on a socially relevant issue, I think there are three angles to it. One is the legal angle, one is the social angle, and one is the political angle. So far as the legal angle of having a uniform civil code is concerned, I'm perfectly in support of it. It is what the Article 44 of the Constitution prescribes. I think everybody, whether man or woman, Muslim or Hindu, should have equal rights. So that is perfectly well. The problem is with the political angle of it. What the BJP does when it talks about a uniform civil code is less in terms of when I'm talking about what the BJP does, I'm talking about what their ground level workers, what their supporters very often talk about is not something that is to give rights to women or to a marginalized section, but it is about stepping down on the Muslims. It is about desecrating their religious practices. I hope that is not done. I hope this is marketed as by the BJP in its campaigns as something that is progressive. That is a good step for women. I really welcome the move to make nikah halala illegal. I think that was something very wrong and it needed to go away. I welcome the government on that. At the same time, when you talk about live-in relationships in this bill, I think that the provisions that have been put in this bill with regards to live-in relationships stem from a very regressive and uninformed understanding of what a live-in really is. When you talk about registering a live-in relationship, you pretty much blur the line between a marriage and a live-in relationship. And on top of that, the government has prescribed punishment of jail for not registering a live-in relationship. You're also talking about maintenance to one partner if the other partner leaves out of a live-in relationship. I don't see what there is a difference between a marriage and a live-in relationship. So I think that is something that needed better reform. I don't think there should have been any legal sanctions on a live-in relationship. That's the very point of it. How the BJP tackles it politically and what kind of social messaging is done, I think that remains to be seen. But given how the BJP has been acting with things that this bill is brought in right 2 months before the elections, right after the Prime Minister said we will win 370 seats in this upcoming Lok Sabha elections, right after Advani, who was one of the key leaders in the movement that led to the desecration of the mosque, being given a Bharat Ratna. I'm sorry, but I have my inhibitions that the BJP is trying to use this bill as something of a communal tool and less of a tool for social progression.
But this is something, of course, that they perhaps now might expand to other parts of the country as well. Already, I think the Assam CM has said that he's going to use this as a draft bill for implementation in Assam as well. Do you believe that this could end up becoming a poll issue in more parts of the country then? Nikhil.
My only point is whether the poll issue would be on talks of social progressivism or would it be on talks of communalization. I hope when the BJP goes out to the people and says that we have UCC in the XYZ state, they talk about the fact that we have given rights to women and not about the fact that, look, we are destroying the traditional Muslim laws in the country. That's my entire point. Of course, this will be a poll issue.
Okay, let me take that across to Professor Nalapat. Professor Nalapat, Nikhil Jain there slamming the bill. And slamming the communalization of the issue, saying that it's simply being done for politics and nothing else.
Well, Uday, I'd like to say that, we welcome the bill, period. And Nikhil is quite right in pointing out that it ought not to be seen as a communal issue. It is not a communal issue. Discriminatory practices are there, frankly, in all faiths. For example, you have some very enlightened faiths. There is the Parsi community. And even in the Parsi community, there's a difference between a Parsi man marrying a lady and the rights of the children under Parsi law, and a woman marrying a non-Parsi, and then a lot of those rights are completely, different, if they're there at all. So there is discrimination across the board, and this discrimination needs to end. I'm not going to get into motives here. A political party obviously would like to come to power. Obviously, it would like to have a policy that enables it to come to power. I don't think I've seen any political party in India who is different from that point of view. I'd only like to say that I am a secular person. I believe in equal treatment under the law for everybody, irrespective of religion. And I think a uniform civil code is an absolute right, especially for women who have been unfortunately grossly discriminated against in many ways, and that discrimination has to end. You have to have women's-led development, which we have been talking about. And if you want to lead women's-led development, you have to lead the way in ensuring that there is no discrimination against women simply on the ground of community or some other reason. And a uniform civil code will ensure that. As I said, whatever the motive, the result is good. And that, I think, is something that all of us, I'm sure Nikhil included, will welcome.
Nikhil, you can go ahead.
terms of the result, I definitely, like I already mentioned, that I welcome the move on the forbidding of nikah halala. But at the same time, I think the provisions with regards to live-in relationships are wrong. So yes, the outcome may be positive, but the point is that how is it going to be played out during the national elections? If a uniform civil code, if a positive bill is used to communalize the voter base, I think the net outcome of the entire thing, when you look at it from a socio-political angle, would be bad. So it entirely, the consequence of the UCC bill for me would entirely depend on how the BJP takes it during the elections. And it is for me not just a legal issue. If I just look at the bill, I think largely it is good. Some parts of it are bad. They could be reformed. I'm sure amendments can be brought at a later stage. But the social angle of it, that is what I'm worried about.
Yes, let me in fact quickly take that across to Gaurav Kochar as well. Gaurav, now as far as the aspects regarding succession are concerned and live-in relationships, now these are two interesting aspects which have been touched upon in this bill. What do you make of the way they've been addressed in the bill, the equality now being granted in succession, also live-in relationship registration tenets and whatnot?
It's the need of the hour, I'll say, the living relationship registration. If I am saying that there should not be any penal action, there should not be any punishment, that's wrong on my part. What exactly is happening throughout past 20-25 years? The cases with regard to 376, which is a rape allegations by a woman partner upon his male partner, have increased to such a number because mostly couples are living in relationships and they have a certain mutual understanding. Once they suffer any dispute between them, the relationship turns up, and the relationship turns up into a 376 case. And once the couple is together and living together and they are intending to live together in a living relationship, yes, they should register it. This will be a safeguard for the male. Altogether, this will be a safeguard to the male that he won't be implicated in any false case, that yes, the woman was living with her consent along with him. This has no negative impact. It will only move a positive impact. There are many couples in the urban cities who are living, and these cases are very common these days, that which result out of these living relationships only. And also with regard to the Succession Act, yes, the Hindu laws has certain good values with regard to the succession and inheritance by the woman under the Hindu law, and there is a totally a different law with regard to a Muslim woman who has to inherit the property of her father or her husband. There are different laws. I am not very clear about the exact laws, but if the disparities being taken care of with regard to women of Hindu religion or women of other religion or Muslim religion, this will be welcome by all the women across the country too. And this is totally a good move to do a penal action if somebody is not registering their living relationship.
Yes. Nikhil, it is something that is being done for the safety of the couple, says Gaurav. Why are you objecting to the tenets as far as live-in relationships registration go?
But first of all, I really disagree with the point Mr. Kochar has made, and there's an important nuance that is to be made out here, that you can have a boyfriend-girlfriend couple that is not in a live-in relationship. You can also have a boyfriend-girlfriend couple that is in a live-in relationship, and then, of course, there's the stage of marriage. So far as false cases under 376 under rape are concerned, of course, I have also seen a lot of them. Mr. Kochar would have seen a lot of them. But they can be made by couples who are not in a live-in relationship. They can also be made by couples who are in a live-in relationship. And along with that, there's a very important point that just because a man and a woman are in a live-in relationship does not mean that the man cannot commit rape on that woman. Under Indian law, marital rape is not recognized, but around the world, especially in the developed part of the world, even a husband can legally commit rape on his wife, because at the end of the day, it is about consent. Being in a live-in relationship with a woman or even being married to a woman does not give a man a free right to have sex with her whenever he wants, regardless of her consent, right? That is why we cannot treat the registration of live-in relationships or the registration of relationships in any manner. That's not what the bill has talked about, but we can't treat that, that registration as something that is a safeguard for men. If anything, it's going to complicate a lot of things that couples very often can be living together. So I personally am aware in my friend circle, people who are in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, they would live together with each other for a month or two, and then they would go on and live in their separate cities. Do I register something like that? And if I don't register something like that, would I go to, or would my girlfriend go to jail for that? That is a very complicated, murky position of law that has been created with regards to the live-in relationship scenario here. And also, I feel, to cast upon two people in a live-in relationship the same sort of obligations and commitment as we expect from a husband and wife is very defying the whole concept of a live-in relationship. I don't understand, why do you need a concept for a maintenance there? I can perfectly understand legitimizing a child born out of a live-in relationship, because we would not want to unnecessarily, have a young child be an illegitimate child. But for the maintenance provisions, for the registration provisions, and worse, to have jail time for not registering a live-in relationship, I think that does not make sense at all. And I think that is something that really needs a relook in this bill.
All right. Let me take that across to Professor Nalapath as well now. Professor Nalapath, a lot of the clauses, of course, now have been re-examined. There will naturally be outrage politically, but how do you view this as a poll issue as well, considering that the BJP did use it in Uttarakhand, and it did help them, which is why they've tried to deliver on it as well. And we could now see it perhaps expand to other BJP-ruled states. So what will be the political ramification of all of this as well?
Well, Uday, I would not like to see this in a political light, for a simple reason that irrespective of the, whichever party is in power in a state, if there is something good that is being done, then that should act as a template for other states to follow, even if they're in a different government. Let's say a non-BJP government does something good. Well, I think then the BJP governments would be well advised to follow that particular template. So far as live-in relationships are concerned, yes, there is but if in my view, instead of 1 month, perhaps it could be extended, let's say about 3 months or so. But then a registration is in a form, a way, a commitment. And I think it's important that you have that kind of a commitment, and that, in the part of one of the partners, it is not regard if the one partner is serious, the other partner is casual. And then you can have a situation in which there could be a lot of personal grief and anxiety caused. We have seen relationships in which that happens. So I'd only like to say that I'm not against registration, possibly 3 months, but definitely where jail is concerned, unless there is violence or unless there is, forced kind of like rape, I would not say that jail is the answer. In my view, in a large number of cases, of penal cases where jail has become the only option, we need to have other options. For example, community work, community service, and other means of rehabilitation, if I may say so. So there I do stand with Nikhil that jail is not a desirable option, except in rare cases where there's physical violence, there's intimidation, and there is clear evidence of rape. In that case, of course, there has to be a very heavy penalty, including imprisonment.
Yes. Also, as far as now this overhaul was concerned, Gaurav, it was pending for quite a while, wasn't it? These are some very archaic provisions which perhaps did need a relook, do you believe? And UCC perhaps has been that much awaited relook.
Yes, totally. Certainly that it were pending for it were overlooked, and it were pending for reformations. Like Mr. Nikhil said that marital rapes are there, other rapes are there. I accept what marital rape and what other rapes are there. But 80% of the rape cases, there was a study coming in some newspaper few days back only, that 80% of the rape cases coming out of just to discord between a couple who are in a living relationship or who are girlfriend and boyfriend who live for a month or two. Why a man should suffer and why a woman should take the privilege of that law, absence of that law? And if they are living together, they have to accept that yes, they were living together with a consent. And the women still don't have any bar if she has been raped without the consent, if she has if some sexual harassment has been done, she has all the remedies to go ahead with that. But the registration will safeguard the couple. Yes, a woman is also liable to be put to the prison, and men should also be liable to put to the prison if they are not complying with the law, which which shall be enacted very soon. And it's a right time, because our society is getting modernized, and these issues will increase, not decrease in any manner. So taking it forward, we have to go into the spirits, and let's not politicize this matter. It's not because of the national Lok Sabha elections are coming up. It's not because of that. It's just the need of the hour.
All right, let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.